It's hard to do justice now to just how much anticipation there really was for Episode 1 when it first appeared in cinemas back in 1999. There hadn't been anything new from Star Wars in decades by this point, and to have a whole new trilogy planned was very exciting indeed. And of course, Hasbro was keen to get out in the market and have a toy line ready. The original Kenner figures have been some of the most popular toys ever produced, and Hasbro did not want to miss this opportunity. They prepared a whole world of toys for this film. And today I'm going to take a look at the Episode 1 Feed Generator Room Complex. The packaging itself is fairly straightforward, taking a simple photo of the playset itself and adding some figures into the mix to show off its action features. And on the back we can see the playset in more detail and see some of those action features up close. One of the cool features about this playset is the fact that it actually joins up with another playset. So this is very clever marketing on Hasbro's part, but it's actually a really fun idea as well, having interconnecting playsets to create one giant world. And this is helping to recreate basically the final act of the film. And there's also an advert down here for some of the figures that are in this first wave of figures for Episode 1. It was a really solid first wave which had all the major characters from the film really. And something that's very nice about this set is that it actually comes with a battle droid, which is fantastic. And this battle droid is unique to this playset. His markings are slightly different in terms of the paint apps, and importantly his gun is actually moulded into his hand. But this is actually a really quite nice mould for the 3 3/4 scale. It's screen accurate and it actually has some nice detailing on it. It's nice to see those paint taps and have a bit of a paint wash to it. I actually quite like that the gun is moulded into his hand because I imagine this would be something that would fall out otherwise given the design. So I think this is really good. Also, there's definitely a step up in articulation with these figures. Obviously his head does spin from side to side, but his neck bends forwards and down as well, which is great. And as of course his arms go up and down and so do his legs. But there's actually quite a nice range of motion here. And it prompted me to take a look at some of the other figures in this line that I had. So here, of course, we have the Obi Wan Kenobi. Again, very nice job of bringing these characters into toy form. He does have loose plastic hair there for his braids, so it doesn't hinder articulation. And that is kind of the key thing. I think the likeness is decent enough for this scale. I think it's pretty decent. But there's extra points of articulation here. We're getting articulation in the elbow and in the wrist. And I think this is the first time we saw this in a 3 3/4 scale for a Star Wars figure. I may be wrong, but it just seems like they've really upped the game here. And it's really smart as well, because I think, having that elbow articulation and in the wrist is absolutely crucial for when you want to recreate lightsaber battles. And considering, of course, that the prequel films were very heavy on lightsaber battles, this is something, kids were going to want. So I think Hasbro hit the ground running with this line. I think there's some excellent innovations here. I think the likenesses are good, the paint apps are nice, and like I said, the articulation is really enhanced, and it's quite striking. And this carries through, particularly with the Darth Maul. I think he's extra impressive when it comes to the articulation and just the way he's able to hold his lightsaber. He has the same articulation as the other figures, but because he has that double lightsaber, he has to hold it in a very specific way to be able to get the most out of it. And that would be quite tricky to do in this size. And I think they've done a wonderful job here because he can twist at the wrist there. You can definitely get a dynamic range of posing out of this, and he can actually hold it in multiple different ways to recreate different feels that he has in the film. And I think this is absolutely fantastic. And I think, Hasbro deserve a lot of credit for this. Likewise, when we look at the paint apps on the lightsabers, this is, a far cry from the ones we had previously where they'd just be a solid colour of black or grey. They've actually, got the buttons on there in a mix of colours, and I think they've done a fantastic job considering how tiny these actually are. They've done a wonderful job of getting a lot of detail in there. So this set is actually deceptively quite large for what is basically a small playset. It's actually very quick to assemble. It feels very solid, very sturdy, and its overall impression is that it looks pretty good. It has 2 ramps. It has a wider one that plugs in at the back here. And I'm not sure what the plan was with this, whether they were hoping to maybe expand this into another playset later on, possibly, because it does lift up to flat level, but I can't tell whether it was meant to connect to something else or whether we're just supposed to have the ramp, but it does seem odd that it's a separate piece. And it's not entirely screen accurate either. As we know in the film, this room leads into what would be basically the pit, where Obi Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul have their final duel. So I wonder whether there were plans to possibly make a pit playset. It does also come with a hidden ramp as well, and this is quite a nice feature. This is a thin ramp that obviously extends out from within the playset itself. Now this is definitely to connect to the other playset as we've seen on the back of the box. But I like that it's optional here, and that the playset can stand on its own. I also like that it stands on these stilts as well. It has that very Star Warsian kind of feel, and I love that it's a bit elevated, giving it more of a sense of danger and drama to it. Now, there's not an awful lot of paint apps or stickers on this set. What we have is a few little stickers here to enhance what is available. And, you know, for the most part, I think it does a really good job. The console is a different colour plastic, so it creates that two-tone effect, and there's some stickers there to indicate the buttons and panels and things, which I think is quite nice. The playset, of course, does have some action features, and the central component is in the main body of the playset, and that is when you use the peg holes on the action figures' feet to plug them into these circular bases here. There's these little dials on either side that can create the effect of the figures moving. And this is very important because when it's done correctly, you can get the sense of the characters dueling. And I think this is a really cool innovation. I actually really love this idea. It allows for a lot more dynamic play, and it feels a lot more interactive as well. And it just creates that sense of movement and fluidity that's just really great for the imagination. Another cool feature is at this console where everyone can use the Force, I think, to propel enemies off the platform, which I think is really cool. The central column in the console is actually spring-loaded, so that when we click a button, it fires off. Now I must admit I don't remember this in the film, but I think it is a cool little feature. It is just a single plastic piece that obviously slots into a spring-loaded hole and fits in snugly there. So there you have it. That's all the features of this playset. It's very simple, there's not a lot of pieces to it, but I do think it is actually surprisingly quite effective, and a lot of fun can be had with this playset. I really love the spinning motion there of the characters to be able to give them that sense of dueling. I've not seen it on any others, but I think it's a shame because I actually think it's a great feature, and I think there's enough in here to keep you entertained for hours. It certainly kept me entertained as a kid, and I really, really like this set, and I love these figures too. I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, please do give it a like, and remember to subscribe as I will be posting more videos soon.